mommy, community in action. What oh my, let us sound of that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. What oh my, let us sound of that. Creative, affirming, and culture for me too. Look, granny, let us sound of that. Look, granny, let us sound of that. Look, granny, let us sound of that. Learning and exploring about history, you see. Look, mommy, let us sound of that. We confident, we practice, and develop fluency. Look, daddy, let us sound of that. Families, they bonding, they representing me. Look, granny, let us sound of that. Look, I'm here, let us sound of that. Nice, I see, let us sound of that.
So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while we represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers to leaders, they hold it down where they have to sit. So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while you represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers to leaders, they hold it down, yeah, they have to sit.
Look, mommy, community in action. Well, oh my, let us sound of that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. Well, oh my, let us sound of that. Creative, affirming, culture for me too. Look, granny, let us sound of that.
Forever loving the sound of that. All right, that's my favorite song. That's my ringtone. How's everybody doing this evening, Virtual Village family? We are so glad to see you on this terrific Tuesday. And it's a wonderful one because to the left or the right of me, beside me, is my wonderful co-host here, Mr. Rodney Jordan. And how are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. How about yourself?
I am doing well. You know, the Virtual Village always gets us amped up, right?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Yeah, we have these busy, full days. We wear a lot of hats throughout the day, putting out a lot of fires and creating a lot of beautiful things, setting things in motion, just, you know, how things go. And then we come here and it's the safe space, the comforting space, the space that is keeping everybody literate, keeping everybody happy. And affirming everyone. So it's a wonderful place to be, right?
Absolutely. It's always wonderful. I decided I was going to vote early today, so I went and voted early today. So I was able to do that as well. And capping things off with the Virtual Village just makes it a all great and purposeful day.
Wonderful. Yes, that is great. That is great. Look at you being all productive and stuff.
Every now and then.
Yes. Oh, look who's here.
Absolutely.
Look who is here. A ray of sunshine, a positive affirmation in motion. Our Miss Shania is here with that good evening that we have grown to know and love. Good evening, Precious. So glad you're here. Hope you are doing well. And then we have Miss Marva Burroughs Parker. She says, good evening, family. Thank you so much for the love. Good evening to you. We are so glad that you are here. Yes, yes. Wonderful to get this love from our Virtual Village family. So what is on your mind, Rodney? Come on, tell me. You always have, you're deep in thought somewhere. So in the land of literacy and all the hats that you wear, what are you thinking right now?
Well, so many things going on. I did a school visit today, and of course, there were no children in the school when I visited, but had an opportunity to get the feel for that and talk to a principal a little bit and really talk about how we deliver literacy in a virtual environment, how we stay engaged, keep students engaged and active, and teachers supported. So that's always on my mind. You know, I mentioned to you earlier, I stopped in on the precinct, on the polling places, and voted. So obviously going into the voting booth and thinking about where we are and what candidates that are out there truly supporting an agenda that will advance our community, advance all communities. So clearly that's on my mind. And every time I come up here, being able to read, or have conversations with you, there's so many things that we deal with that we know we have to have some bold and courageous, not just conversations, but we need some outcomes and some results and some workers and folks who are willing to put some action behind the rhetoric. So it's always pleasing to be able to come up here and, be able to engage with a family and a village that's about doing things, not just about talking about doing things.
Definitely. I love that and appreciate that. And for those who do not know, because, our viewers are around the country, can you tell them why your school visit, why you were doing a school visit, why that is significant, what you do?
Well, in that particular case, I'm a school board member in Norfolk, Virginia, and part of we support schools, and school visits are important. So during the pandemic, at least during the, since this school year started, I kind of put them off a little bit. I did a virtual school visit, but I wanted to take the opportunity to just go in and offer some support to the principal. I saw the custodians; they're still there working. The office managers are there working hard. The teachers weren't there because they are operating from home. The particular school I visited, they had a chapter of a Boys and Girls Club, local Boys and Girls Club, that was working inside of the building. So some children were there, actually doing their virtual learning under the guidance and auspices of the Southside Boys and Girls Club. So, seeing that and just being able to be supportive is important.
That's definitely important. And again, here on the Virtual Village Show, we have people who are involved in the education of our youth in various capacities, and that's wonderful. Not people, as you say, who are just talking about it, but people who are actually about it. So school board members, teachers, we've had PTA presidents up here, people who are heavily involved in the education of our children. So that is a wonderful thing. And tonight, you guys are in store for a wonderful show. We have Rodney. You know what? He wanted to pull his old literacy cap out. Since we have our fall season format, he hasn't been able to read, but he wanted to read tonight. He wanted to get back in that groove. So Rodney has a story for us tonight. And then we have our community connector, which I am so excited about. That community connector tonight is actually a wonderful connection that I made last year. Very, very excited about the work that this sister is doing, very relevant to our mission here. So you guys make sure that you stay tuned so you can catch that community connection. And I know you want to catch Rodney reading that book. So don't you guys go anywhere. Stay tuned. But now it's time for you to get that affirmation.
Greetings, virtual villagers. My name is Shania, and do you know what time it is? It's affirmation time! Time to remind ourselves how great we are. So everybody, repeat after me. I am smart. I have purpose. I am confident. I am valuable. My voice is worthy of being heard. I am an asset to my family, school, and community. I respect myself and I respect others. I am beautifully made inside and out. I love my beautiful hair and I love my beautiful brown skin. I am more than enough. Great job, virtual villagers. Can I get a virtual high five? Great job. And always remember how fantastic you are.
Greetings, virtual villagers. I'm Makai, and today's quote is by Nikki Giovanni. If you don't understand yourself, you don't understand anybody else.
Hey everyone, it is Tasha Turnbull here, owner of T2 Fitness, and I am bringing to you all the Homebody Series. The Homebody Series was created because we are now more so at home, but guess what? I want us to feel connected. I want us to feel strong together. I want us to sweat together, and I want us to build our healthiest bodies possible. So we're going to be bringing you live workouts that you can do in the mornings, in the evenings, on the weekends, anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes. They're going to be low impact workouts, high impact workouts, but guess what? what? No matter what your fitness level is, all workouts are going to be able to accommodate wherever you are along your fitness journey. So make sure you join us because we need to work out, we need to be strong, and we can do this all from home.
All right. So are you feeling amped?
Always.
Shania does it every time. I mean, I know
Always.
the affirmation by heart, but it's the thing that we're hoping that all of our villagers, our fellow villagers, are learning that affirmation by heart. And especially if you have some little ones, that they are repeating that mantra, because it's so powerful. It is so, I am smart. I am powerful. My voice is worthy of being heard. I am an asset to my community, my family, my school. Wow, that's amazing. And the way that it was delivered, right? So powerful, so powerful. And then Makai always comes through with that quote from our Black author. Let's see. We have a very special person here. We have Miss Santana. She says, hey, looking beautiful, star. Hey, Mr. Rodney. Thank you so much, sis. So you guys, this is, if you guys have been tuning in with us from the A1 day one, since we started this, you got to meet our Virtual Village 2020 influencers. So you guys are familiar with Professor Jameer, and this is his mother, and we love her and appreciate her. And yes. So we are so excited to see her tuned in. And Professor Jameer is still here with us as well. He is behind the scenes making all the things happen. When you guys are like, oh, look at that. That's him back there. He is now the engineer. So we love that. We love that. So proud of that young brother. So what you got to say about our young people, Rodney? Our virtual village youth.
They're outstanding. They're trendsetters. They keep me motivated. They keep us uplifted. And it's just good to be around them. And so when we thought about what could we do and how can we keep young people engaged and at the same time expose them to some opportunities and skills, they jumped right in, and it's good for them to still be around and leading the world. So I appreciate Jameer and all he's doing and all the other influencers that we've worked with over time.
Yes, they continue to exceed expectations. And we count Shania in this bunch as well, because she's only 10 years young. So she was not an official influencer, but she is definitely influential. So we just love our children in the village and in our extended village, all of our beautiful babies out there. So proud of them. But now, Rodney, it is story time. So yes. What are you going to be reading for us tonight before we get to our community connector?
So I have Joshua's Maasai Mask, and I picked this book up at Conscious Planet right here in Norfolk, at the corner of 28th Street and Granby Street in Norfolk. So they have good books, great vegan food, jewelry, and just an all-around wholesome and conscious place. So I was pleased a couple weeks ago to be able to go in and pick up this book, and that's what I intend to share tonight.
Shout out to Conscious Planet, Jaconi Cafe, a place that can get you hooked. If you go there, wonderful atmosphere, beacon for the community before and during this time. So yes, wonderful place to be. So a great place to get that book from. So I'm going to step away. Don't you guys go anywhere, because I know y'all want this story from Rodney, and then you definitely want to meet our community connector for the night, and then all the other wonderful things we have in store. So don't you go anywhere. I'm about to grab me a little swig of kombucha, and I'll be right back after Rodney reads.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Again, this is Joshua's Maasai Mask by Dakari Haru and illustrated by Anna Rich. It's identified as a American bestseller, pick of the list. And so it is my pleasure to share this with you this evening. Joshua loved it when Uncle Zambezi taught him to play the kalimba. He loved the feel of the wood, the rich chords, the soulful rhythms. But then he made the mistake of mentioning the school talent show, and the whole family jumped on him. Show them what you and that kalimba can do, Uncle Zambezi urged. That's a great idea, his mother said. I know you'll win, his father beamed, and so he hadn't really had a choice but to sign up with his kalimba for the show. But it was a terrible idea. Joshua's classmates liked rap. They liked kids like Kareem Cooper and Shamika Shabazz, who could dance like people in music videos. They think his kalimba was stupid. They'd laugh. And sure enough, when Joshua walked into the auditorium for rehearsal, Kareem was on stage and the kids were cheering. Go Kareem, go Kareem. Kareem snapped his fingers and boogied all around. His friend Shamika was as cool as the ice cream cone in her hand, spinning the records and scratching them in rhythm. When they finished, the kids clapped and cheered and whistled. Then Kareem and Shamika sat down and everyone looked at Joshua. Look at that, one girl said, pointing at Joshua's kalimba. Hey, what you got there? Show and tell. Something from your crazy uncle, the kids laughed. It's nothing, Joshua mumbled. He got up to leave, fumbling for his jacket. At the door, Joshua looked over his shoulder and saw everyone congratulating Kareem and Shamika. No way could his kalimba compete. He pushed open the door and walked home all by himself. On his way, he stopped by his Uncle Zambezi's art gallery and told him what had happened. Uncle Zambezi listened. Then he went into a back room and came out with 3 boxes. In the first was a brightly patterned dashiki. In the second box was a beautiful new hand-carved kalimba. And in the third was a big ostrich feather mask from the Maasai tribe of Kenya. Joshua fingered the feathers gently. Maybe you just need to get into the spirit of the thing. Give them attitude, said Uncle Zambezi. When you go to the talent show, play your new kalimba, wear the dashiki, and bring the Maasai mask. Be careful with it. The mask will listen to everything you say, and you must be careful to speak wisely. Joshua just nodded and took everything home. There's Uncle Zambezi in the art gallery. There's Joshua playing with the feathers of the mask. But no matter what his uncle said, that talent show was still tomorrow, and he was dreading it. Joshua wished he could just stay home, where no one would think he was crazy. The next morning, Joshua tried on the mask and looked at himself in the mirror. Be careful, he told himself in a low voice. Then he stuck out his tongue. Who cares? I don't even want this silly mask. I just want to be Kareem Cooper. Joshua shrugged and took off the mask. But when he looked in the mirror, what he saw made him choke. It was Kareem's face. He was Kareem, and he was in Kareem's house. He walked down the hall to the bathroom to get ready for his big day at the talent show. This was great. He looked so good. The kids would cheer him on and think he was the best. Kareem, move your dumb face out of my way. A girl who must have been Kareem's sister jabbed him with her elbow and slammed the door in his face. He went downstairs to get some breakfast, but the refrigerator was empty. What do you think you're looking at? Kareem's father barked. You think food just gets in there all by itself? If you weren't so lazy, you might stop combing your hair for a minute and help out around the house. Who do you think you are? Righteous rapper or something? There he is with his sister. There he is opening up the refrigerator. Kareem couldn't stand any more yelling. He ran out of the house to think. Being Kareem wasn't as much fun as he thought it would be. but he still wanted to make a splash at the talent show. He thought about Kareem's father saying, "Who do you think you are, Righteous Rapper?" Righteous Rapper? That would be the greatest talent show act ever. He touched his face and the mask appeared. Then in a flash, he was Righteous Rapper. He was dressed in a red jogging suit, a red cap turned backwards, jewelry, sneakers, and dark glasses. He felt great. From the mask to Righteous Rapper. As he started down the street, some kids from his school spotted him. This is going to be hot, Righteous Rapper thought. Then one girl screamed, "Righteous Rapper is here. Let's get his autograph." One boy yelled, "I want his glasses and t-shirt." Someone even yelled, "I want his pants." And in a flash, a crowd of kids was bearing down on him like a runaway car. Righteous Rapper beat it down 125th Street and ducked into a parking lot to catch his breath. As Righteous Rapper, he would never make it to the talent show in one piece. What he needed to be was someone the kids would all respect. He knew the mayor. Righteous Rapper touched his face and the mask appeared again. He said, "I want to be the mayor." And in a flash, he was. Righteous Rapper to the mayor. As he walked towards the school, the kids made a path and asked to shake his hand. "Are you coming to the talent show, Mr. Mayor?" they asked. "Wait till you see Kareem and Shamika. We love you, Mr. Mayor." And it felt good. Parents were streaming towards the school too, and the mayor spotted Joshua's parents with Uncle Zambezi. "Hello, folks. Coming to see some talent?" he asked them. "Oh, yes, Mr. Mayor," his mother said. "Our son plays the kalimba." "We're very proud of him," said his father. The mayor swallowed hard and went inside to watch the show. He could hardly pay attention during the first act because he felt guilty about disappointing his parents. But when Kareem and Shamika went on stage, the crowd got worked up. Shamika held her blackberry ice cream cone and scratched the record. Kareem got carried away and did a big wild spin. But in the middle of all that, Shamika's ice cream fell right on the record player and jammed it. The music stopped. Kareem fell on his back. The kids yelled, "We want a show! We want a show!" The mayor thought, "What can we do without music?" Then he had an idea. He looked into the audience for his parents. Then he ran backstage and touched his face. Concentrating hard, he said, "I want to be Joshua and play the kalimba. I want to be me." In a flash, there he was in front of the microphone, the kalimba in his hands. Slowly at first, but then with confidence, he played. The audience listened. Kareem started dancing again. Shamika joined in. Soon the rage was in everybody's feet. Joshua's classmates danced and roared. The audience was cheering. "Go, Joshua! Go, Joshua!" Joshua looked at his Uncle Zambezi. From now on, that mask would hang on Joshua's bedroom wall and not on Joshua. But the kalimba would stay in Joshua's hand and the rage would stay on his feet. And that's the end. So there you go. He wore that mask. He said who he wanted to be. He wanted to be somebody else. He wanted to be Righteous Rapper. He wanted to be the mayor. But then he realized the best thing that he can be is himself. And there he is with that wonderful dashiki playing that kalimba. So last thing I just want to share is the author's note. It says, in this story, the Maasai mask that Joshua wears gives him magical powers. In real life, the mask has his own special meaning to the Maasai people. Numbering over 240,000, the Maasai live in Kenya and Tanzania in East Africa. The mask is an ornament an adult warrior wears when he goes to war. It is made of ostrich feathers tied into a wooden frame. It is first worn when a Maasai boy reaches the age of 12 to 15 as he participates in the rituals and ceremonies that initiate him into adulthood. And it's more that the author has shared, but I just think this is a great book. First time reading it, great story, culturally affirming, and a strong message.
It was. Everybody, let's give it up for Rodney. Yes. That was a wonderful selection there. I definitely enjoyed it. Like you said, wonderful moral to the story, culturally affirming. And the Queen, Miss Santana, said, what did she say? She said, I love this book because it is Black, okay? So representation matters, okay? And we understand that that positive cultural representation is so important here. Shania is giving the hand claps, and Santana said that that her other children enjoyed the book as well. So you were getting a lot of engagement there. So you got a wonderful selection here tonight. Wonderful selection here, right?
Just want to make sure everybody can see what the kalimba looks like. So we've seen it sometimes. You go in and it has the wood block and you play the little metal pieces. So it's a great little instrument, and hopefully everybody can have one in their home.
Look at that. Great read, Mr. Jordan. This is us. Yes, everybody is feeling it. So we are so glad, villagers, that you guys, the message resonates. And this is our goal, for this to be the safe, culturally affirming space that affirms reading, that affirms literature, that affirms brown skin and experiences. And it's here for everybody. But this is what it's about. Anybody can get in on this, but that's what you're getting in on here. And it's a wonderful thing to be a part of. And Rodney, you always do a great job with reading. I ran away, grabbed my little beverage real quickly so I could make sure that I was all refreshed while you read to us. And always, we enjoy it. You have such a wonderful, soothing voice as you read to us.
You know, my 23-year-old walked past me. I thought she was going to come in and join the story, but I'll catch her next time.
We have to get her on here one day. As long as we've been doing this, and she has not made an appearance yet, we got to get her on.
I think she popped on once, maybe. She never popped on? Oh, okay. All right.
No, she's all obscure. We need to see her.
I have to maybe I have to work and see if I can get both of my young ladies to show up at the same time.
That would be excellent. We would love that. That would only be right. So look, we are going to have a word. Earth, Wind, and Fire, Kilimanjaro. Dr. Cross is always bringing it. I'm always glad to see him and his comments. So look, we are going to have a quick word from our sponsors. We have the best sponsors out here. So you guys hold tight, and we'll be right back to introduce our community connector to you all. Don't you go anywhere.
Buying or selling a home doesn't have to be difficult. At the James Allen Group, we work tirelessly to get families into homes and to get our listings sold quickly at the best price. James Allen, our principal broker, has over 30 years of experience as a realtor. As a U.S. Navy veteran, his knowledge of Hampton Roads and its community is a vital tool in meeting the home buying needs of military families. If you're ready to buy or sell your home, contact the James Allen Group at 757-449-8322. Sign up today for our free home buyer or seller seminar at jamesallengroup.com.
All right, so we are back. Kalumba. So we are back, villagers, and we are ready to bring our community connector for the night. A very special sister is here for you all to read and then to tell us about what she does with the community. We are excited to have her. So I'll tell you a little bit about how I met her. Last year, before this whole pandemic thing came, I was, let's see, the smartphone did Kilimanjaro. Okay, wow. What is edit for? I wouldn't think that smartphones knew about Kilimanjaro. Okay.
Well, you know, if he searches it before, it's probably, it'll learn it.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, I met this sister last year at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum in Baltimore. I went there because they were having an African American children's book fair. So you know that like a moth to a flame, I was drawn to that location. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. Met a lot of wonderful authors who have become friends of Clever Communities in Action. And it was so many wonderful things going on there, just so much for your senses. And in a great way, not an overwhelming way. It was just like in here and here and here, all these wonderful things were going on. And so we have wanted to bring an African American children's book fair here. And I contacted this sister about it, and I didn't know if she was going to be like, you do your own work. But I had some questions to ask her, and she was so forthcoming, giving me so much great information. And I really, really appreciate that. And we have managed to keep in touch. So everybody, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Miss Terry Taylor.
It's great to meet you all. So I'm here today to read a story about someone that is a part of our museum, Billie Holiday. Hopefully some of you may have heard about her. She was a great jazz singer from a long time ago, and hopefully some of you guys also may like to sing a little tune as well. So this story is called Mr. and Lady Day, Billie Holiday and the Dog Who Loved Her. And this is by, yes.
Before you jump into that, I want to let everybody know a little bit about who you are real quickly. So she is the Education Program Director at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum in Baltimore, Maryland. Yes. So we are getting a story from her, from the Education Director of that museum. If you guys are not familiar with that museum, you are going to learn about it tonight after she reads this wonderful story and tells us how this story is relevant, like why she chose this story tonight. So we're going to step away because we see you are ready to read that book and we are ready to hear it. All right?
Okay. All right, cool. All right, so this story is by Amy Noveski and is illustrated by Vanessa Brantley Newton, one of my favorite illustrators who comes to the book fair every year. And she does some beautiful pictures, as you can probably see right here is a picture of Miss Holiday in a beautiful green dress and the gardenias on top of the piano keys. So I will begin. All right. So Billie Holiday loved to sing. As a girl, she sang along to her favorite songs on a borrowed gramophone. She dreamed of being a star. So here is Billie as a little girl and a picture of a gramophone, which was a record player. And I'm not sure how many of you guys have ever seen a gramophone before. And a star she became, the great Lady Day. But sometimes stars don't feel like shining. They need someone to listen. That's what friends are for. Lady Day's dogs were her best friends of all. You see Miss Lady Day thinking, maybe dreaming. There were lots of dogs in Lady Day's life. The poodle she carried in her coat pocket, and the brown and white beagle. The chihuahuas, Chiquita and Pepe, she fed with a baby bottle. I know you've seen dog lovers with their dogs. And you can see her with her dog inside of her pocket. There was the Great Dane named Gypsy and the white-haired terrier, Bessie May Mucho, who wagged her tail like a metronome. Raja Ravoy, the sad mutt she gave the grandest name, would wander off, but he always found his way home. That's Raja. And then her little tiny dog at the very bottom of the page. But then there was Boxer named Mr. Mr. and Lady Day were rarely apart. She knit him sweaters and cloaked him in a mink coat. She cooked for him and took him on midnight walks. Can you imagine that? See Mr. in his fur coat to match Miss Lady Day, Billy in her fur coat and fur hat. They are styling and profiling. She sang to him. Mr. was Lady's favorite. Some days she'd have a house in the country filled with dogs. Life would be good. Mr. would be there. He always was. And then she sings in the background, "Sugar, I call my baby my sugar." There is Miss Lady Day with Mr. When Lady performed at glamorous Harlem clubs, Mr. sat beside her before the show. Porters brought him a plate of thick steak and a bowl of water. Later, he would stay with Lady in her dressing room while she pinned flowers in her hair. He kept fans at a polite distance. And you can see there is Mr. making sure no fans come into her dressing room. I think everybody should probably have a Mr. When it came time for her to sing, Mr. would lead a nervous lady to the stage and wait for her in the wings. Billie Holiday was nervous on the stage. Lady was famous for singing the blues, but the sadness of her songs did not matter to Mr. As long as he could hear her, he was happy. You can see Mr. in the background as she sings. Billie Holiday was known for her blues songs. Then just when her career was at the top, Lady got into some trouble. She had to leave home for a year and a day, and Mr. couldn't come. Lady knew it was what it was like to be left, and it made her heartsick. So she promised Mr. she'd be home soon. But when she looked into his sad eyes, she wasn't sure she'd ever see him again. While Lady was gone, she wrote letters and knit sweaters, but she did not sing. Singing was about feeling, and she didn't feel a thing. When it was finally time to return, she wondered if Mr. would be there. Would he remember her at all? Would Mr. remember Miss Billie? Let's find out. Then there he was. Running down the platform, Mr. leaped on the lady, knocking her down. Someone screamed and everyone scattered. But soon a crowd gathered. It's Billie Holiday. And Lady's homecoming was as bright as a paparazzi's flashbulb. And there you can see Mr. coming to greet Miss Billie with his big old tongue. Lady couldn't go home just yet. On the front porch at a friend's farm, she rehearsed. It was time for her to sing again, whether she felt like it or not. But in 10 days, she would give her biggest show ever at New York City's Carnegie Hall. Lady was afraid. She had heard the rumor that the great Billie Holiday was through. Was it true? There's a picture of Carnegie Hall, the stage. And there's Billie wondering, will she still be able to do a wonderful job singing like she did before? On the night of the big show, the concert hall glowed, and at midnight the house lights dimmed and a spotlight as full as the moon appeared. Slowly, Lady walked to center stage, the hall so quiet you could hear her heels click. Lady trembled. Where was Mr.? Was he waiting in the wings? As the band's notes began, Lady lifted her chin, and when the great Billie Holiday sang, what happened when the great Billie Holiday sang? Everyone and a dog held their breath and they listened. The end. So they listened to her sing, including Mr. And here is an actual picture of Billie Holiday with her actual dog, Mr. And what Mr. actually looked like and what Miss Billie looked like. So I read that story today, as I mentioned, because we have a picture of Billie Holiday. She was originally from Maryland. Oh, thank you. Marva says she recalls the movie Lady Sings the Blues. Yes. Yes, it is a great book.
And let's all give it up for Miss Terry. She did a wonderful job with that story. That is a great selection, and you all have such soothing voices when you read. You're ready to put me to sleep here with this wonderful story. It's the best kind of way. Just relaxing. That's everything we need during these times. I love that story. I found it to be relatable in the way that when we have those butterflies, when we wonder, can we deliver? Will we be able to deliver? But we go ahead. And I think that is very relevant because, again, we have some wonderful children here in our virtual village family. And as they embark upon their endeavors, I just think this is a great book to refer back to. Also getting them acclimated with Lady Day. And the song that I know her best for actually is Strange Fruit. And we know how powerful that one is, right? So, Rodney, did you have anything to say to Miss Taylor before we get a word from our sponsors and come back and chop it up with her?
No, we can go ahead. When we come back, we can talk some more. I agree with you how soothing it was, because she definitely, I could, as you were reading the story, I could hear Billie Holiday singing in the background and your soothing voice. It all went together real well.
Oh, and of course, Dr. Qualls comes in and reminds us.
Yes.
He's like, yes. But what about God bless the child? Yes. That one
so
too.
Much more.
That one too. So look, that was wonderful, Terry. But virtual villagers, don't you go anywhere. We have a few words from our sponsors and a few things to put y'all up on, and then we will be back to get some wonderful information about this lady, Miss Taylor. All right.
Cool. This episode of the Virtual Village Show has been brought to you by Target.
Good morning, students!
Professor Ramona and I are going to be working on fractions today.
Encuentra el país.
Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him.
Excuse me. Ay, de nuevo.
Teachers are doing whatever it takes to connect with their students.
202.
And Cox is too, by connecting over 140,000 eligible students in need with low-cost internet.
Who wants to see it again?
With the Connect to Compete program from Cox.
Buying or selling a home doesn't have to be difficult. At the James Allen Group, we work tirelessly to get families into homes and to get our listings sold quickly at the best price. James Allen, our principal broker, has over 30 years of experience as a realtor. As a U.S. Navy veteran, his knowledge of Hampton Roads and its community is a vital tool in meeting the home buying needs of military families. If you're ready to buy or sell your home, contact the James Allen Group at 757-449-8322. Sign up today for our free home buyer or seller seminar at jamesallengroup.com.
Greetings, virtual villagers. I am Jameer, here to bring you today's moment in history. Lonnie George Johnson is an American inventor, aerospace engineer, and entrepreneur whose work history includes a U.S. Air Force term of service and a 12-year stint at NASA, including the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. He earned multiple awards from NASA for his spacecraft control systems. However, Johnson is possibly best known for inventing the Super Soaker water gun, which is one of the world's best-selling toys. The inspiration hit him while he was working on an eco-friendly heat pump. I accidentally shot a stream of water across a bathroom where I was doing the experiment and thought to myself, "This would make a great gun," Johnson said. The Super Soaker's success allowed him to work for himself and fund his own research in green technology. Johnson holds more than 100 patents.
Jameer told you a little about the impressive entrepreneur, Mr. Lonnie George Johnson. If you would like to learn more about Mr. Johnson's early life, career, and his list of inventions, check out Whoosh, Lonnie Johnson's Super Soaking Stream of Inventions by Chris Barden. You can purchase this book at your local Black-owned bookstore or visit smile.amazon.com and add Clever Communities in Action as your charity, and Amazon will donate a percentage of the price of your purchases at no cost to you.
All right, all those beautiful brown faces giving us that great information. Gotta love that. There's Jameer in front and behind the scenes coming with those moments in history. And tonight he told us about Mr. Lonnie George Johnson and all those patents that he has. And anybody who had the pleasure of playing with the Super Soaker as a child knows how exciting that was, the water gun of all water guns. And then all the wonderful things that he has created since then. That's what he's known the most for. But he's done a lot. So to our little ones out there and our not so little ones out there, those creations, those ideas you have in mind, put them out there, and just know that people who look like us have created some phenomenal things that make the world go round. Yes. And then Asia always comes with that book of the day, letting us know what book, as parents, as grandparents, as educators, as villagers, as church members, mosque members, all of these things that we can get that coincide with that history fact, that we can add to the children in our lives, that we can add to their libraries. And as I've said before, we post that history quote the following day. So you guys can go and find that and just share that if you want to, all right? It's meant to facilitate conversation, all right? But now it is time for us to talk to our lovely guest here again, Miss Terry Taylor. We are glad to have you here. And again, we enjoyed that selection that you read to us. So let's talk a little bit about your position with the Reginald F. Lewis Museum in Baltimore. Tell us a little bit about the museum and what it is that you do.
Okay, so the museum, I guess, is fairly young compared to a lot of museums. It celebrated its 15th anniversary this past summer. So we were created in 2005. We're named after a very famous gentleman named Reginald F. Lewis, who was a famous billionaire during the 80s. I guess compared to, I was asking somebody just recently who we would compare him to, and someone said, well, I guess Jay-Z. Someone who was that the kids would get, and so I was like, okay, that makes sense. Maybe Oprah for my generation. At the museum, we focus on African American history from the state of Maryland primarily, but we also look across the state as well for some of our other exhibitions. And I do programs, a variety of programs. On one side, I do programs that deal with school groups and youth. So when you guys go on those field trips to the museums, I'll work on putting those together and other programs for youth. And then I have the other side of my hat where I do public programs during the weekend, sometimes in the evenings for adults and families. And so that's where the Children's Book Fair comes in, or MLK Day, for those of you who celebrate the holiday, or Kwanzaa, which is coming around the corner in December. A lot of people celebrate that day as well. So I, talk with teachers and parents and talk with kids all the time at various ages, from little itty bitty ones of ages 3 through 4 or 5, to the ones in the middle space, the teens, the 10 to 13, and sometimes I deal with the high school kids. They're another group on their own. What other questions do you have for me? And
I have
continue
plenty.
on.
That was great, and that was
Okay.
interesting. I have quite a few, and I'm trying because there's so many things about what you do that I find to be interesting. So I'm like, which way do I want to go with this? I think I want to ask you, tell the villagers, why are museums important? Why is this museum important, and museums that curate our history and showcase our history? Why do we need to go there?
Well, museums are great because they're sort of like the gatekeeper of important information that you want to learn about or know about, whether it's about a particular community or whether it's about a particular object or an event. It's funny that you mentioned that. There's a story that I've been reading lately this year called Milo's Museum, about a little African American girl who goes to the museum with her grandfather, and she does not see herself. It's a wonderful museum, but she's looking around and she has a frown on her face, and that's what her granddaddy explains to her. It's like it's a place where it keeps important and valuable things that the curator, that's the person who collects the items that are housed in the museum. And so she goes home and she talks to her Aunt Vashti, and her Aunt Vashti gives her an idea of creating her own museum of items that comes from her community. And so she looks in her house and she brings a suitcase filled with various things from her family that she puts in the backyard, and it's called Milo's Museum, and she invites her friends and family. And she has everything from little booties to a medal that her grandfather had from the war to a sports jersey. But anyone can have a museum, whether it's someone like myself or someone who maybe has a lot of money and has collected something from like a long time ago that's like over 300 or 400 years old. People have museums, whether it's in a big building, they have it in their house. I know like in our area, we had someone who cared about Black baseball players from the Negro Baseball League. And so they created a museum right in their basement that kids would come to. So our museum is important because when I read that story, we wanted a place where brown children could come and see themselves and see the important things that leaders and artists and educators and musicians did in our community.
Excellent. And I had to jot down Milo's Museum. So
That's by Zetta Elliott.
I took that note, and that sounds like an excellent book. And I never thought of the concept of creating your own museum. And for our small villagers out here and our not so small villagers, I think you got to get a little age on you sometimes to realize exactly how valuable those things are, to have it curated, and then you guys have it all in one space for everybody to go and see. And then I know you've had quite a bit of exhibits and people to come through there that are of huge, tremendous interest to me. You and I talked a little bit about when you had the elder Gloria Richardson. You guys did an exhibit about her. So many wonderful things there that you're not going to find in your, other places or spaces that are so important to our history, which is American history, which is world history, because these are people who move the needle of the world. And we're so appreciative to be able to go to a space that puts all of that information there. So tell us now a little bit about your background and, from the beginning, and then how you ended up being a education program manager at the museum.
So it started, I like to explore a lot of different things, and it's funny, probably a lot of people feel that way. It's like, I didn't come to become a museum educator, but looking at my background, I guess it maybe kind of makes sense. As a little girl, I always loved culture. I always liked the arts. paintings and, and objects and learning about different people and communities. So I liked museums, going to them as a little girl. Then what happened was when I graduated out of school, I became a teacher. My mom was a teacher as well. Sometimes, we follow the paths of our family sometimes. And I became a school teacher, did that for a minute, maybe 4 years or so. And then eventually, as I was doing some different things, I decided to become a volunteer at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum when it opened through a friend, basically. And did the training to become a docent. That's just another name for a tour guide. And there were some openings that came up, and I just tried my hand at it. And I ended up in the education department doing public programs, and I've been there ever since. And also was a computer trainer. So I guess with my mom and love of learning, I sort of stayed in the education field, working at a museum, a place that I've always loved. And a museum is a wonderful place to work. If you're trying to do a lot of different things, learn a lot of different subjects, and you want to be a part of the arts, if you want to create things, when we get youth and stuff, we tell them to consider that as a possible career. Museums are never boring places. So
that's excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that museums are also important. We often have these conversations about summer learning loss. Mm-hmm. And so what a lot of children do, what a lot of parents do, for those that don't suffer the learning loss, that's what they're doing. They're in museums. They're visiting the Frederick Douglass Home. They're visiting their Reginald Lewis Museum. They're at the Smithsonian. They're getting exposed. They're getting their brains going. They are exploring. They're learning. And then those children come back when they get that exposure, and then they pick up these books and they read more and more. So, museums are incredibly important. I remember when the Lewis Museum was first created. I think I popped in there back in maybe 05 and 06, but you reminded me now. I definitely need to get back. And I just think museums are great, whether you want to go or whether somebody drags you to go. For children is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a
even
museum
if
on
you get
any
dragged there, you end up enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And then Santana brings up a great point here. She said, what an awesome job that most people don't even think about. And as you were speaking, I was thinking about that. Like a lot of people, it's right there, but you don't hear people saying a lot of times, I want to work at the museum. But you gave us a great description of how exciting that is and all the things that you could be exposed to by doing that job. So it's definitely a thing for our young people and our, not so young people to consider. That could, be an exciting thing for them to do. So all our little villagers tuned in right now, add that to the list of, possibilities. What a wonderful place to be all day and to have some input as to what is going on there. Because as you stated, Rodney, it's a lot of times throughout the school year, the field trips, and then during the summertime, that's where the children are going. And to have a hand in what's going on there is very important. It is very important in addition to being exciting. So the last thing I wanted to ask you about, Terry, before we get ready to, before we let you go, we know you got some things that you got to do before the night ends. But what is the transition been like for you guys during the pandemic? And how have you guys transitioned during that time? And how can we stay connected with you? Are we able to visit the museum? Are there things going on online? Just give us that little the nuggets there that you have as far as the Reginald F. Lewis Museum in the pandemic.
I guess in the transition, we've been like with everyone else. I guess feeling our way and just experimenting, as to like what we can and can't, do. We have, for most of this summer, We've been doing virtual programs. That was kind of like a new area for us, doing the technology thing. We were closed, but we are now open to the public. We opened September 9th. So we're not doing programs yet in the museum, but you can come visit it and actually see the collections and the new exhibits that we have up. So that, and people have been coming to the museum. And I'm guessing maybe one of the reasons why they're coming is it's still, I guess, a place as people venture out, a safe place. It's not, when you think of museums, it's not necessarily a place that's like crowded unless it's, some big event that's going on. So people can, whether they're by themselves or if they're with their family, can, go and check out the different areas and still feel comfortable and kind of safe. So people have been coming to do that. We've been doing virtual programs, though, it seems like every week or every other week. And just doing the things, I guess, that we were able to do on the platform, whether it's talks or short films. We've done a little bit of musical performances. And so now I'm trying to think of how I'm going to do Kwanzaa virtually, except for besides the community day that we normally would have on site. So the good thing, there's been some positives with like virtual. You get to meet more people sometimes. We've met people who are like out of the state, sometimes out of the country, because people, if they're just interested in a topic, there's no barriers for them. All they got to do is just click on the link and they're there to talk with you and to see that particular program. So we're still continuing to find our way in reference to that. I hope that answers your question, sort of.
It definitely answered the question, and it was very relatable for us. So we definitely understand where you're coming from. And I keep saying that during this time, we have to use that Kuumba. We are having to use that creativity to make sure that we keep our mission alive, whatever it is that we're doing respectively. So you guys are doing a great job, and I'm glad to hear that things are still going well there. I definitely plan on getting back up there sometime. I really enjoyed my initial visit, so definitely we'll be making more. And I appreciate you coming up here. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you sharing your expertise. You definitely are the definition of a community connector. And before you go, there's one thing that I have to do. I did not do it right after you read, but there is an initiation process that has to happen here. So I have to initiate you into our literacy gang. Okay. So I must let you know that you are now a member of our literacy gang. Our gang is founded on the love of literacy, culture, community, and love. And you are in this gang. You cannot leave this gang. You are in it forever. So that means you're going to get all this love. And you are welcome to come back here anytime you want. Okay?
All right. Sounds good to me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, again, thank you for your time. Rodney, was there anything that you wanted to say to Terry before she leaves us?
I just appreciate her coming up, and I know you can go to lewismuseum.org, I believe, and learn more about the Reginald F. Lewis Museum. And Reginald Lewis is a hero to many of us who are entrepreneurs for the great work that he did and being a philanthropist. So thank you again, and look forward to seeing you in Baltimore.
All right.
Yes. Well, before you go, Rodney, thank you for the reminder. Is there anything that you wanted to share? Anything coming up, or any place that you want us to go to find out more information?
So we are doing a social justice sewing workshop for youth that's starting November 14th. So you can just go to our website to check that out. And several book talks. Just go to our website for the rest. But just wanted to let you know about the sewing justice workshop.
That sounds so interesting. And for everybody who is watching us on Facebook, you can like the Reginald F. Lewis Museum on Facebook. And you also can find the events that they have going on there. Once you like the page, I think you'll start to get updates on that. And the social justice sewing, I mean, that's so creative. I love it. I love it. So for everybody with little villagers, make sure that they are aware that y'all go and like that. Okay. And again, thank you so much, Terry. And we look forward to working with you again in the future. All right.
All right. Thank
you. Have a good
Good
evening.
night.
Well, that was great. I
All
really
right.
enjoyed that.
It was very good, very informative, and great exposure for all of us of all ages.
Definitely. It's family programming. And again, I just really appreciate with Terry, because Rodney would not come to you with the things. So there was supposed to be a book fair happening this year here. That was the goal. And then pandemic came and said, skirt. So, but I really appreciate Terry again, how she was willing to share how she got everything done that she was doing, was definitely not selfish with that information, so helpful, and all the things that she's doing there at the museum, the wonderful programs that they have going on there. So everybody make sure that you like that page. And if you are watching us right now and you have not liked Clever Communities in Action on Facebook, make sure that you like Clever Communities in Action, and make sure that you go to our YouTube, Clever Communities in Action, and subscribe to that. And right now, y'all click that share button, okay? So that some more people can get this literacy, culture, community, and love, because it ain't nothing but a literacy party, and we want everybody in on it, okay? So y'all click that share button right now, okay? Well, again, Rodney, it's been a wonderful Tuesday. I enjoy you reading, and it's always great doing this community connection with you. Couldn't have a better co-host out here.
Thank you.
Before we get ready to go, I know you have some wonderful parting words. You always do.
Well, to be honest with you, I was sitting there thinking that next Tuesday we get to be up here on election night, so that'll be a great thing. But I would like to, once again, just tell everybody, be encouraged. I was actually doing some reading today on African Americans during the 1918 flu pandemic, and so it's very, very interesting. So we've conquered things before. We're going to make it through this together, and just be encouraging and keep on coming up to the virtual village and get that affirmation and be inspired.
Yes, wonderful. And to your point, I hope everybody feels that way when they tune in. That is definitely the goal. And then we have Miss Marva Burroughs Parker. Look, the excitement from Jaycox, the energy that comes from Jaycox is so wonderful, and I love it. The energy, the unity, you can just tell the way that they love what they do, the way that they're showing up for their students. And Miss Marva is shouting out one of our teachers on our Monday and Wednesday programming, where we have the foundational literacy lessons, and that's Miss Lakeisha Owens. So she is giving her props, and we just, again, appreciate all the energy from the Pandas. That is nothing short of amazing. So we were excited when you guys are here and present. And to all of our virtual village family, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for that positive energy. We hope that this is feeding you just as much as you are feeding us. It is our pleasure to bring this programming to you, and we look forward to seeing you all every week. And we will be back again tomorrow with one of our virtual village 2020, with one of our virtual village
You all right?
Look, I've been talking all day. You guys. It gets like that sometimes. It's towards the end of the evening. But we will be back tomorrow with one of our virtual village teachers. All right, there it is, teachers. And all that wonderful positive energy and the moments in history that you're looking for. Who will it be tomorrow? Who will it be?
And shout out to Dr. Whitmore and principal at Jaycox too, because she's always been up here faithful with us, I think, for 6 months. So shout out to her as well.
Excellent. Yes. We love that Panda energy. Yes, you are welcome. You are welcome, Miss Marva. So everybody, again, thank you for tuning in. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Click that share button, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
Look, mommy, community in action. Look, oh my, look, sound that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. Look, oh my, look, sound that. Creative, affirming, and culture for me too. Look, granny, let us sound that. Look, granny, let us sound that. Look, granny, let us sound that. Learning and exploring my history, you see. Look, mommy, let us sound that. We confident, we practice and develop fluency. Look, daddy, let us sound that. Families they bonding and representing me. Look, Brandy, love the sound of that. Look, I'm here, love the sound of that. Nice, I see, love the sound of that.
So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while we represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Read us to lead us, they hold it down where they have to sit. So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while you represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Read us to lead us, they hold it down, yeah, they have to sit.
Look, mommy, community in action. Well, oh my, love the sound of that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. Well, oh my, love the sound of that. Creative, urban culture for me too. Look, Brandy, love the sound of that.